everybody. Welcome to another episode of In the Van with Scott Jackson. I'm headed out to my first call this morning. We use Service Titan here where I work, and I really enjoy it. I think it's a good FSM. It's really informative. It's very thorough. I'll give it that. We're getting on our way. This cold weather's really starting to stick around here in Ohio. It was super cold all through January as far as Ohio weather's concerned. February started to warm up. We had like a 65-degree day, which was nice, but now we're dipping back into the 30s, and we've got single-digit forecasts for next week. So winter keeps going on. Just passed one of our other technicians on the road here. It happens somewhat frequently. We're not like a major corporation or a huge company or anything like that. We service a decent area. We've been established for about 40 years. And we've got a nice local clientele. People tell us they see our trucks around all the time, which is cool, you know, with the amount of trucks that we have on the road. The technicians we've got here are great. They're great guys to work with. Being the senior technician here, I'm the guy that they call with any questions or any concerns, if they want to confirm a diagnosis or something like that. Something that I really enjoy actually about, I talked about MeasureQuick in the previous episode. As a senior technician, one thing that makes MeasureQuick just super convenient from a senior technician standpoint is the techs out in the field are able to live stream their results to me, and I'm able to see them in real time. So all of their results I'm seeing as if I were there, and I don't have to ask on the phone, okay, what's your suction pressure? What's your liquid pressure? What's your superheat and subcooling? What's your outdoor temperature? What's your delta T? What's your line voltage? What's your low voltage? What's your amperage on your compressor? Or, what's your blower amperage? What's your combustion analysis? We're able to see all of that depending on what kind of test they're doing. I have all of that information right in front of me, and I can see exactly what they're asking and help make a diagnosis as if I were there, which is a really, really nice feature. If you're a senior technician or a supervisor or tech support for your company or something like that, I would really, really consider implementing MeasureQuick into your company's operation. It's a wonderfully easy program to use. It's very tech friendly. Lots of nice tech features. They've come out with some updates that are really specific to the technician, which is great, and I love that that's their motivation over there. MeasureQuick is also here in Ohio. They're about 4 hours away from me, up in the northern part of the state. So Jim Bergman, if you're out there and you end up seeing this at all. All right, we just got to this first call here. Heading on in for just a standard gas furnace maintenance. This is a longtime customer of ours. We installed this furnace a few years ago. It should be pretty cut and dry. It's just a standard Goodman upflow, 90% efficient furnace. So we're gonna go through the whole maintenance process. The customer is pretty close by typically with the system, so probably won't do a whole lot of talking when I get in there, but you'll be able to see the process. I'll use MeasureQuick to do a full report, and we'll give that to the customer as well, and we'll be good to go. Looks like we did pretty well. Alright, well, we got this person all fixed up. Nothing was actually wrong, we were just doing some maintenance today. Got a pretty good grade on the report. Got a 97% A+. No real complaints with the system at all. Everything looks great, and we're off to the next one. I just pulled up to this next call. It's actually a local business here in the town that our business is located in. And so we're gonna get a chance to look at a rooftop unit. Excited to take y'all with me, and we're gonna pop up on the roof and see what's going on. We got an old one up here. Man, if you guys don't have one of these already, it's the Klein Tools, you know, a multi-sized bit here. It goes all the way up to 9/16. This thing's a lifesaver, especially on commercial equipment. So when the unit tries to come on, the inducer's running constantly. Down in the burner compartment, we've got our igniter. And these old carrier units, they don't use like a thermopile or a thermocouple or anything like that. They've got what's called a warp switch. Has like a tiny little hot surface igniter, and it establishes a pilot, and then the warp switch is what confirms to the unit that the pilot has been established, and then it'll go for ignition. The pilot can never be established, and this is evident by the little hot surface igniter will come on, the pilot will light, the hot surface igniter will start to shut off, and then it'll come right back on because the unit is under the impression that there is no pilot established, so it's going to continue to try to establish a pilot. So we're going to order up a new igniter for it. So there's that igniter back there in the burner compartment, and it comes down here and plugs into the gas valve. You never see one of these units with all their screws. If anybody's seen a commercial unit older than 5 years with all of the screws in it, let me know. All right, well, we got this unit diagnosed at least. I've got the office looking for the part that we need. Unfortunately, I didn't have it on my truck. I hate it when I don't have the part. It just works out that way sometimes. I'm gonna give this landlord a call because this is a commercial suite. So I'm gonna give him a call, collect for the diagnostic today, and we'll be on our way. We're heading out to one of our supply houses here. We're gonna do a repair on an ICP oil furnace. We're putting on some new electrodes today. All right, I picked up some electrodes. The oil furnace we're working on. Before we go to that oil furnace, we got a heat pump that's not working. But right now, they've got nothing responding. The indoor blower doesn't come on, outer unit doesn't come on, nothing's coming on. So my suspicion when that happens usually is it's a low voltage fuse that's blown. So we're gonna go find out, see what's going on. All right, we just pulled up to this call here. Service call, heat pump, no heat. said that nothing is responding inside. Blower won't come on, outdoor unit won't come on. So we're gonna try to see what's going on here. I think the first thing I want to do is check this low voltage fuse. See it back there? That purple thing there. We're gonna pull it out, get a better look at it, make sure it's not blown. If it is, we'll put in a popper resettable fuse, just so we're not flying through low voltage fuses. And I did shut the power off, by the way, so I don't want to stick my hand in here and shock myself. That's always a good thing. You only ever do that once. Not sure if you can see that or not. We do got a blown fuse. If you're new, the low voltage fuses are real obvious to see if they're blown or not. They've got the little Z-shaped line inside, and that'll be broken, basically. If the fuse is blown, you'll oftentimes see a big black mark on it. All right, we got our popper hooked up. These are really easy to set up. You just put the 2 male spades in the 2 female spades that receive the 3 amp fuse. You just pop those 2 male spades in there. This is gonna be a resettable fuse for us, so we don't fly through 3 amp fuses. Try not to use a whole box of 3 amp fuses on one service call. I just went upstairs to the thermostat. It was on a delay. Came downstairs and we've got a running unit. I always try to make sure to let the outer unit activate when I'm on one of these calls. The reason why is the problem could very well be the outdoor control board. And one way that you know that is when the outdoor unit is energized. If there is like a dead short in the board, when R and C are connected and they power up the outdoor unit, as soon as you apply power, that fuse is gonna blow. So that didn't happen, which is a good thing. Turns out he had a short in his indoor air handler board on one of the terminals that the fuse went into. So I noticed it actually while I was packing up my stuff, and I heard the unit shut off abruptly and decided to do some checks. The transformer had actually blown. So we're gonna put in a new board, new transformer. Hopefully they get some fixed. Pretty sure it will. And then, but right now we're gonna do an oil furnace repair, then go to the supplier, get the board and the transformer, and then come on back and do the repair. One thing to note about these low voltage fuse service calls, you know, if you're on a call and you got a blown low voltage fuse, it's always best to be extremely thorough. I tell my technicians all the time, very rarely does a low voltage fuse blow for just no reason. At least in my own experience, anytime there's been a blown low voltage fuse, there's always been a reason. In this case, we've got a short that's internal to the board, and there was actually a little burn mark on the back of the board that was evidence of this. Brian Orr actually made a really good point in his most recent podcast episode about circuit boards. And you know, he observed that if you've got a control board failure, most of the time there is visual evidence for this failure. That's what happened today as well. So we're gonna go run another call right now. It's actually here in the same town that we're in. It's about 3 minutes away from the call that I'm at currently. And we are gonna get these electrodes put in on this oil furnace and see if we can't get to that supplier and get this other heat pump that we were just at knocked out. This is actually my bag that I have for oil furnace work. So I've got some black rubber gloves. I've got a little bin for bleeding. I've got a manometer here for draft tests. I've got a box of nozzles right here, and then I got my smoke tester back there. I got my smoke paper in this front pocket here. I've got this old multimeter in case I run into any issues while I'm there, and the leads for that. And then, yeah, just some tools in here. I got some wrenches. I got an old, this is actually the first M12 Milwaukee impact that I ever got. It goes in the oil bag now because things get dirty. It's an old pair of channel locks, old pair of wire strippers. I've got an old 11-in-1, but I exclusively use it for the 5/16 hex to peel back the transformer there. And then I've got an old psychrometer here for taking supply air temperatures and stuff like that. And I've got some screwdrivers here in the back, but it's nice, kind of stays out of the way. It's not really a part of my rig that I actually need to use very much, but that is what it is. All right, here she is. The old oil furnace that we're working on. All right, so we got the oil furnace to light. Man, one thing really that these furnaces are particular about is the placement of the electrodes, the distance from the center of the nozzle, the distance apart from each other. Typically, an electrode replacement kit will come with an oil nozzle depth gauge or an electrode gap gauge. This one came with both. This was a Beckett set of electrodes for a Beckett burner. The customer had hit the reset button a few times, which, if you know anything about oil, is not necessarily good if it's shooting oil into the combustion chamber without any ignition. So we had a whole bunch of extra oil in there that we had to deal with once it lit. We had a big puff of smoke come out, but it subsided, and we're going to do some final tests on this furnace and get it up and running. All right, we just got this oil furnace wrapped up. Did a smoke test on it, did a draft test, made sure that we had draft in the flue and over fire. So oil furnaces are finicky, man. There's a reason why people don't work on them very often. My favorite thing about this job is having a hard problem and being able to solve it, working it through from the beginning of the diagnostic process all the way through to the repair and seeing the fruit of your labor, so to speak. That is a very satisfying feeling. Identifying a problem, recommending a solution for that problem, and then that solution working. It's one of the most satisfying parts of this job. We're gonna head to Johnstone. We're gonna grab that control board and that transformer that we needed for the previous call that we were on, and we're gonna go back there and get them up and running. All right, we got our parts from Johnstone. We're gonna head on back to that first heat pump that we were at that had the blown low voltage fuse. We're gonna replace this board, replace the transformer, get him all up and running before the real cold weather hits. He should be good to go after that. Beautiful day out today. All right, and we're all wrapped up. We got that control board replaced on the air handler, as well as that new transformer installed, and everything seems to be working just fine. Another day in service, a little bit different than the other day. About 5:30 now. I'm heading home for the day, which isn't too bad. It's not too hateful, considering how cold it is outside. But yeah, again, like I've said all throughout the day today, it's just so incredibly satisfying when you have the chance to go in, you acknowledge a problem, you diagnose the problem, you propose a solution for that problem, and then that problem is fixed because of the solution that you came up with. That's it for today. I'm heading home. Got another full day tomorrow, and you know, we'll do it all again. So thanks for joining me in the van today. It's been a good day of service, and we'll do another one here soon. Tune in next time.